As a pro footballer, you don't always get the attention you deserve from your club, agency, and even the training staff and analysis department, and typically that is because these people don't usually have your long-term career and development in mind. All they care about is your short-term form and keeping you injury-free and available for selection. As a serious pro who wants to progress his or her career though, you know that the broad and general stuff you're doing with the team typically won't cut it for you to elevate your standards and help you reach the next level in your game. Sign that better contract, feel more secure, etc, etc. So you either stick with what's been given to you and hope for the best, or you take control of your career and invest time and energy into your personal development. Since you're here watching this video, I assume you're after the latter. So let's go over 8 training tools / principles that I think every professional footballer should be incorporating into their weekly training regimen, no matter if they're in season or in the off season. So at number 1, we have lifting heavy weights to increase your maximum strength ceiling. Whether you like it or not, lifting heavy weights is an exceptional tool for raising those maximum force outputs of yours, which will have a direct transfer to all of the actions you perform on the field. Whenever you're jumping, sprinting, cutting, or kicking the ball, you are producing force. And guess what? The fastest and most efficient way, according to research, to improve that maximum force of yours is by lifting heavier weights. Now, as a pro with a full team training and game schedule, it is unlikely that you will be able to perform those lifts many times throughout the training week. In this instance, you typically use shorter joint angles and much lower doses of training to avoid sudden spikes in your overall training load. Apart from heavy weightlifting though, another training tool you can find great benefit in is lifting lighter weights fast to increase that rate of force development and peak power. But be careful here, we're not talking about general strength training just because we're using submaximal resistances. We are using those lighter resistances to allow your body to perform those movements at higher speeds. This in turn will help you generate high amounts of force really fast and translate that increased maximum strength of yours we talked about earlier into better power outputs. Now number 3, throwing things fast. Whether that is a medicine ball, a barbell, or even your own body, will also help you with exactly that. It is once again a matter of producing force fast here and getting your whole neuromuscular system engaged and firing at all cylinders. The only things I want you to be concerned about here are the loading and intensity. First off, you will need to be executing these sort of exercises with maximal intent, like throwing a medicine ball to the wall and trying to smash that wall, but also managing the training load you use appropriately so you don't cause any huge spikes in your training intensity, because doing too much is a one-way ticket to getting injured. What you want to do is stick with the suggested training principles you probably see on screen right now, and the more packed your schedule is with training and games, the closer to the lower ends of those guidelines you should probably stay. The same goes for number 4, plyometrics. Now, as you already know from numerous of our other videos, plyos are probably the most effective and efficient tool for upgrading your athleticism and transferring all your gym gains to the field. You're basically optimizing the stretch shortening cycle the whole time, making it more efficient and able to produce those high force and power outputs in actual sport-specific movement. Once again, keep the doses relatively low if you're a pro with a packed in-season schedule and the progression / periodization logical. Start from more extensive variations to build up volume and tissue tolerance, and slowly progress into more intensive variations, sort of like the progression you're seeing on screen right now. Now moving on to number 5, which is another non-negotiable that is a staple in all of the work that I do with my players: top velocity sprinting. No matter if you have a really high top speed ceiling or not, exposing yourself to the ceiling of your own speed will A, further increase that ceiling, and B, teach your system, especially those hamstrings, how to handle high forces at high velocities. Quick tip here to adjust based on who you are as a player. If you are a fast player, 1 to 3 top velocity sprints every week can help you make those hamstrings more resilient, but if you consider yourself a bit slow though, you might want to slightly increase that load to 2 to 5 top velocity sprints each week. Don't forget about resting though, typically 1 minute per 10 meters sprinted, performing each sprint at near or maximal velocity. Also, leave adequate time for your system to recover before the game, so you should be looking to get that top speed exposure towards the middle of the game week and not too close to the game. Okay, so in regards to the next 3 things, we're moving out of the physical realm of performance. Number 6 and number 7 are really similar to each other, but I want you to pay extra attention so you can really gain the value from both. At number 6, we have cognitive training. Now, as you know, the game has become much more cognitive driven in the last decades, and for the level you are playing, the main difference between you and another player playing a league above you doesn't lie behind your technique, but more so behind your skill. And skill is the equivalent of your technique plus your cognitive performance. Now, I don't want you to be thinking of it as something really complex. You can improve your cognitive performance by including various simple cognitive tasks and challenges into your training, whether that is during a conditioning circuit or a technique-based exercise, really something that will get your brain engaged into the whole process and force you to lift your head up and use your vision. And obviously there is number 7, raw skill work, which I think should be part of all pros' weekly training regimen. Here, we take that simple cognitive training and make it a bit more complex by adding some technical and tactical elements like positional patterns and problems you solve in-game to really spice up your decision making and help you be like, alright, I am in-game in that scenario and the possible solutions are A, B, and C. I will need to pick up on XYZ information and take the most efficient solution. Whenever we are working with a pro on that matter, we don't typically plan out entire sessions for them if they're in season, because that would be too much to handle, but instead, we typically like to scale it down to a 15, 20, maybe even 30-minute short and sharp session that is based around skill, and the reports and feedback we are getting from our players is that they feel much sharper, more aware and alert on game days, resulting in much faster and better decision making, which in my opinion is the currency of modern pro football. And another thing that allows us to further optimize that whole process and drive more efficient training and performance decisions is this: data analysis. The simplest thing you can do for your game as a pro is get an account set up on an external data provider like Scout, StatsPerform, or Instat and get access to in-depth data reports on your game. That data is objective. Numbers don't lie. And by getting access to that data, you will discover a variety of things about your game and performance that you haven't even thought about before, because unfortunately, most pro analysis departments just focus on surface level data and info regarding the team in general, and so lots of valuable information gets lost throughout the analysis pipeline that doesn't reach your eyes and ears. So accessing a data report like this post-game or even pre-game if you want to stay one step ahead of your direct opponents can be key to uncover strengths and weaknesses of your gameplay and adjust based on that. Now, if you want help with any of the 8 things we just went over, all you have to do is book a call with me using the link in the description, and we'll soon be discussing how we can raise your performance together and scale your career. Now, before you leave, I would also highly suggest you watch this video next.